What's up, guys? I got some TCGO today, you know, a little Friday afternoon slash evening kind of thing, depending on when I actually get this uploaded. But we have a really quick game. I actually got 2 games with Hay Fever. I noticed a lot of people were like, hey, you know, I kind of missed that game or that deck. So I have 2 of them. I'm also working on a steel deck. I'm kind of fine-tuning it. I don't really like using Steelix in it. It's a pretty cool card, but it needs a lot of energy, and it needs a lot to retreat. It's just not doing it for me, so I'm probably going to swap out Steelix for Cobalion, do a little bit of fine-tuning, and then I'll see if I can work it from there. But expect to see that. I guess my point is expect to see it in like the next 2 weeks, something like that. Week, 2 weeks, something like that. So if you see a new deck in my deck selection, I will use it when it's all good and ready to be used and put on YouTube and stuff. So in the meantime, I got this good old grass deck, and I draw into one of the best hands I've ever gotten in my life. So I go first off. I'm going to go for the Pokemon Collector, get my shit set up real quick. So I actually decided to get 2 Sunkern and a Hoppip, and I hope to draw into my second Sunflora next turn. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an energy down on Virizion, put my basics down and all that stuff, and what I can do is I can actually rare candy up to get Meganium on the next turn. Now I notice he has a, what is that little guy, Axew? I think it's an Axew, and then the next one is Fracture, and then the third one is Haxorus, of course. But I can evolve everything in my hand, and then I can use Professor Oak to get a new hand as well. So he also uses an Alpha Lithograph, which lets him look at his prize card, so he can take note of what is what, you know, if there's anything important to grab, if anything. But he doesn't get any damage with that, and I'm just going to put it down another energy on Virizion, rare candy up my Chikorita into a Meganium, evolve my Sunkern into a Sunflora. I could use that Sunflora to get my second Sunflora, but unfortunately it is in my prize cards. That tends to happen a lot. That's one of the cards that pops up a lot. But right now I'm going to get my my Skiploom. I feel like my odds are better in terms of just getting a Skiploom and then maybe drawing into a Jumpluff as opposed to drawing into a Junk Arm. But I actually pull a Professor Elm's evolution method, which is just as good. It means I can use Professor Elm for next turn, or I could just use Sunflora to do it. Now, I have a little bit of an energy deficiency going on right now, but he doesn't have a lot of Pokemon out, if you notice. He's just got that thing, which I'm actually going to be able to kill off next turn, because he doesn't put down anything on the bench this turn. He's fucked, you know, this early in the game. It's like 2 minutes into the video, and I've already taken down this first opponent. I fought this deck before. Wasn't sure if it was actually this guy, but it's a pretty nasty deck if you let it get set up. And because I got set up a hell of a lot quicker, that's going to leave me with the, I think that's what's known as a donk, where, you know, they, or maybe, I think that's like the first turn, but when they don't put any cards down and then you take out the only Pokemon left on the field, then they lose right off the bat. But I kind of got this rolling, and then I got another game coming up, so as you can see, I went into the expert lobby again. I think this was shortly after this one. This is going to be against another Durant Mill deck, so don't be surprised if I fight these a lot, because they're pretty annoying and they're pretty common, because the cards you need for them, you only need 1 energy to run Durant. You need 4 Durants. Now, the thing is Jumpluff really benefits from fighting Durant, because a lot of the because Mass Attack, in case you guys don't remember, it's 10 damage for every Pokemon that's in play, yours and your opponent's, for a maximum of 120. Now, Durant works on the amount of Durants you have in hand, so that is basically a given, you know, 50 base power right off the bat, including Jumpluff and the 4 Durants. And you really only need 2 or 3 other Pokemon in play, and you're just set to knock them out, because they're just going to try to revive them as much as they can. But the Durant Mill deck is super popular, super gimmicky, super easy to make. I wouldn't really want to make one. It's just, it's not my cup of tea. So I don't really draw into the best hand here. I'm going to draw a card and see if I get anything good. But in reality, it's not that good. So what I'm going to do is, well, first off, he ends up going first, and I see what he has. So he has a Durant, and he has a Drowsy. Now, I'm kind of curious what Drowsy does, but when Drowsy evolves, the Poke Power is you can put you can flip a coin, and then if it's heads, you can put the active Pokemon to sleep, which is basically stalling in the TCG. So if there were a deck that Scott were to ever use if he got into the TCG, it would probably be this one. So he's got an energy on that lead one, and because he's got 4 Durants in play, he mills off the top 4 from my deck. And this is not looking good. So I need to get my Sunflora in play before he discards it, so I can work around what he's discarding, because I have, I think, like 2 revives in this deck, but it's not really that good. So what I decide to do is I'm going to try to get 1 reliable poke set up, and that way I have the Skiploom and the Jumpluff in my hand. But I'm going to put an energy on Virizion and then put an Eviolite on it on the off chance it'll work. I don't think it's still working at the moment, but I got an energy down. You know, once I get 3, I can take him out with the Sacred Sword, start Giga Draining in between turns. But, you know, just get Skiploom evolved, then Jumpluff. Hopefully I can draw into something good right now, as much as I really wanted to go for Cleffa. He actually does do the hammer thing, which is flip a coin, and if it's heads, you discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, Jumpluff only needs one to run, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon in play. I've got 2. That leads for 70 damage, and Durant has 70 health, so I should be able to take it out in one hit. He mills off another Jumpluff and a P-Oak, which is horrible for me because I'm not able to do anything with it yet. But I'm going to evolve it into a Skiploom. Now, I don't have any energy on the Virizion, but I do have a switch in my hand, so I should be good to go. And what I'm going to do is end my turn here. That way, in case he does end up knocking out this Virizion or whatever the case is, I don't know. I'll just keep that Revive handy because it doesn't make much sense to use it right now. But he hasn't evolved his Drowsy yet. I'm kind of glad for that. But he's just going to keep milling, you know, shuffling his hand around, making sure that he can maintain those Durants out as long as possible. Now, if I can get 6 solid turns where I just take all of them out, that would be fantastic. I don't know how well that's going to work out. But he evolves his Hypno, and now what that'll do is he can flip a coin if it's heads. You know, as I mentioned, it'll put my active Pokemon to sleep. But I do have a switch which will completely bypass that and the energy requirement, which is why it's nice to run a couple depending on your deck. He discards one of my Sun Currents, however, and that is a bitch, guys. So I'm actually going to revive it right now in hopes that I can get my second Sunflora set up. But I'm going to use a switch to get the Virizion out of there. And now that I have a lot of Pokemon in play, I have 4, he's got 5. That leads for 90 damage, now reduced to 80. But he will probably revive that Durant again, so it'll bring me back up to 90. I am basically at the minimum requirement to kill off a lot of the things in his deck. The Hypno has 90 HP as well, so if I can catcher that out, that will not necessarily cripple him too much. It's kind of iffy as to what I need to take out. I would like to take out the Hypno first, so that I actually have the chance to attack as opposed to anything else. But he's got 3 Durants in hand, and he's going to go for a catcher, bring out my, probably going to bring out my Virizion just because it has a retreat cost to it. I do have an energy, well, my Sunkern does too, but he's just trying to be annoying. So he doesn't put it to sleep, thankfully, which means I can just put an energy on it, and, you know, he's going to mill off 3 off the top of my deck. I have more energy, so I can repeat this all day. I have 1 on Jumpluff. I'm good to go, and I think I'm running a couple of Fishermen in this deck, too. But Mass Attack to get that second fucking ant out of the way. This deck is so annoying. But now what I can do here is, assuming he doesn't knock off this energy or whatever, I do have a switch in the discard pile, so I'm trying to look at what I can junk arm. I'm probably going to end up junk arming the switch just in case he does end up putting something to sleep. So he catchers that out, and I think I just stay in here for one more turn because he's only got 2 Durants in play, unless he gets the other 2 out in play with Revives or, you know, Super Rods to put him back in his deck, and then P-Coms. I'm still relatively good. So he revives to get that first one out, which is whatever, you know. If he ends up putting my Virizion to sleep, I will junk arm for the switch. If he doesn't, I'll just put an energy on it and get it out. So I have a plan right now, and it's working pretty well thanks to, you know, getting some cards that I actually need versus this. The strategy that he's running is very, very basic. So he just decides to dual ball after, you know, going for the Super Rod, and he actually gets to put the Durants that I already killed off back on the bench, and it's bugging the shit out of me. So he does get this this Virizion asleep, so I'm gonna have to junk arm for the switch and then just get it out of here. And he's just sawing away at the top of my deck, and I don't wake up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually, I think I put the Chikorita down so I don't have to discard it. You know, maybe I can get a Meganium going, but junk arm for the switch, get it out of there, and Jumpluff is just saying no fuck you to every single Durant in play. Like, thanks to the fact that the Durants have to be united with each other in order to work, Jumpluff can take him down pretty easily. So I also haven't taken any damage because all they're going to do is keep using Devour on my deck, and he's actually running pretty thin. I think I highlight his deck somewhere along the way as well. And the fact that he keeps milling and he keeps milling me and he keeps drawing himself, we're actually running pretty even. This is going to be a pretty quick game. But he decides to catch her out again, which is like, stop doing this. I have an energy in my hand. I'm just going to go back out and kill off the damn thing. Like, Jumpluff is the killer of Durants, as is indicated by the cool artwork on the thumbnail. But he finally puts this thing to sleep. Now, I'm kind of hoping I can draw it to a switch or a junk arm or something of the sort. It's not really working out for me. But I do wake up at the end of the turn, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm also going to go for the catcher on this next turn to get the Hypno out and take that thing out. Since he only has 3 Durants in play, I don't have to worry about that for the time being. But I do catcher it out so we can stop putting things to sleep, and I can get them out safely by just putting energy on them. So I have not exactly the amount I need in play to kill it off, and then I lose 10 base power from knocking something out, but I still have enough to take out the Durants. So I get a Pecan, which is absolutely useless, but I am keeping the offense against this deck, which is actually what's really important. And he ends up going for N. I draw into 2 cards. I don't give a fuck. I draw into another energy. If he wants to junk arm for another catcher or just catcher again, force me to switch out, I can just keep putting energy down and keep putting, you know, Jumpluff in the lead spot. Jumpluff is just tearing him a new asshole, okay? It just is. Just don't even argue this. Like, it's... So, he puts down a Pichu. Now, what Pichu's going to do is if he loses any of his Durants, he can use a card to put them back in his deck. And then, you know, he can just go from there. But I decided to get some things. I'm actually just going to get the Cleffa. Because it really doesn't matter what I get. I can only put 1 on my bench anyway. But... if I'm not mistaken, I think I just end up killing this thing off, and then if he catches something out, I will, you know, I'll deal with it when I deal with it. But I actually get a Fisherman out of my prize cards, meaning that I'm not going to be running short on energy at all if he decides to try to catch something out. Everything right now has a retreat cost of 1, meaning I put it down, I bring in Jumpluff, and fuck you because fuck you. I also have a catcher in my hand as well, in case he wants to bring in the Cleffa. Not the Cleffa, the Pichu, and stall for time, you know, by it being asleep. I can negate that. It's like a switch on his end. And now he tries using that hammer thing to get the energy off my Jumpluff, which is like, I don't care. I don't. Now, if he actually did manage that, and he ended up catching out immediately after, it would stall for a little bit of turns, and it maybe might have been a little bit closer, but I don't have an energy shortage at all. So, he's kind of just fucked at this point. Like, this whole time I've been talking, he's just been trying to mill, and it's not working. Because as long as you keep a relentless offense that has a decent amount of, you know, energy to it, then you're good to go. So as long as you don't keep discarding and you have a way of getting them back, or something of the sort. I mean, I think I got a good amount of energy in this deck too. But he brings out Pichu. I cannot put basic Pokemon on my bench. He's obviously just going to do it to stall. He ends up waking up anyway. But the thing is if he actually ended up being asleep, or... Yeah, if he ended up being asleep, I could have just captured it out. I'm going to capture it out just for the sake of killing off those fucking Durants, dude. That's all I killed in this game. Durants. Anyway, this deck is ridiculous, and Durant falls to this deck fairly easily, provided I can get it set up. I was unfortunate enough not to get the Sunfloras going, but that's how it goes. Jumpluff devours the ants forever. So, anyways, that's a game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you're welcome to leave a like, rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. I'll be giving out 2 more codes in this video, as always, and then, as I mentioned, I'm working on the Steel deck. This will also probably appear in your sub boxes at the same time as today's game, which will be a tournament video. So, that's all I got planned for you guys for today, so I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you probably this weekend with another TCG video. I don't know, or Monday. We'll see. Okay, bye.